He had everything: money, fame, and power, yet his heart was empty. Chike Nwosu, a young billionaire businessman in Lagos, could buy anything he wanted except true love. Every woman he dated seemed to love his lifestyle, not his soul. They smiled for the cameras, but never stayed when the lights went off. One quiet night, standing on the balcony of his mansion in Banana Island, Chike made a decision that would change everything. He would walk away from all the noise, the fancy cars, the designer clothes, the bodyguards. For once, he wanted to know what it felt like to be loved by someone who didn't care about his last name or his bank balance. So he became keen, a simple man, living in a small apartment in Surulere. No one knew who he really was. Not even the woman who would steal his heart. Her name was Amara, a teacher with a beautiful smile and a heart full of faith. She loved peace, not possessions. But when she found out the truth about the man she gave her heart to, everything changed. What started as a test of love soon turned into a battle of trust, pride, and forgiveness. Because sometimes, the richest man is not the one who has everything, but the one who risks it all to find something real. And this is what happened. Before we continue this story, let me ask you something. Would you forgive someone who lied just to test your love? Think about it. Imagine dating someone who you believe is struggling, only to later find out they're one of the richest men in the country. Would you walk away in anger? Or would you stay, knowing his heart meant no harm? This story will make you question what love truly means. Is it built on truth, or can it survive a lie told in the name of love? If you love true love stories that touch the heart and carry deep lessons, this one is for you. Because what happened between Chike and Amara will not only surprise you, it will make you feel every emotion: love, betrayal, pain, forgiveness, and hope. So before we go deeper, do this for me. Red heart # like this video if you still believe real love exists. Speech balloon comment love should be honest if you agree that testing love can destroy it. Bell and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories that speak to the soul. Because by the time this story ends, you'll realize something powerful. Even the strongest love can break when trust is tested, but sometimes, it can also be reborn stronger than ever. Let's dive into the journey of Chike and Amara, two hearts that met by fate, connected by truth, and tested by a lie. Before the lies, before the heartbreak, there was Chike Nwosu, the kind of man people only read about in newspapers. At just 32, he had built one of Nigeria's fastest-growing fintech companies. His name opened doors. His face appeared on magazine covers. And his bank account? It could buy comfort for a lifetime. But comfort isn't the same as peace. Despite his success, Chike was lonely. The women who came into his life saw him as a prize, not a person. They loved the lifestyle, the luxury cars, the dinners in Dubai, the social media glamour. Yet deep down, Chike knew no one had ever truly seen him. The man behind the money. He lived in Banana Island, surrounded by glass walls and silence. At night, he would stare out at the glittering lights of Lagos and wonder what love would feel like, real love, the kind that wasn't bought or pretended. Then there was Amara Okeke, a 27-year-old teacher living in Surulere. She didn't have much, but she had peace. Her days started with the laughter of children and ended with lesson notes under candlelight. She was strong, kind, and believed in simple joy. Her dream wasn't to marry rich, it was to marry right. Their worlds couldn't be more different. He had everything money could buy, she had everything it couldn't. But fate, as unpredictable as Lagos traffic, had plans for them both. Because one evening, when power failed in Surulere and rain poured like heaven's tears, Chike's path and Amara's would cross for the first time. And that meeting would test not just their hearts, but their beliefs about what love truly means. It happened on one rainy evening in Lagos, the kind of rain that flooded streets, slowed traffic, and forced strangers under the same roof. Chike had just left his office in disguise, plain t-shirt, old jeans, and slippers, trying to blend in with the everyday crowd. He had started living in a small apartment in Surulere under the name Keen, determined to experience life without privilege. That evening, his car broke down near a roadside food stall. The rain came suddenly, heavy and wild. He ran into the nearest shelter, a small booker that sold rice and stew. That's where he saw her. Amara. She was sitting by the corner, her uniform still damp from the rain, counting her day's money. Her face carried a tired smile, the kind that came from honest work. She noticed him shivering slightly, dripping wet. Without hesitation, she pushed her umbrella toward him and said softly, "You can use this. You look like you've had a long day." He smiled, surprised. "You're giving it to me? What about you?" "I'm used to it," she laughed lightly. Rain doesn't hurt people who don't owe it money. They both laughed, the kind of laugh that feels real, effortless. Chike ordered a plate of food and ended up sitting beside her. They talked about simple things, Lagos traffic, the rising cost of Gary, how mosquitoes never respected sleep. She told him she was a teacher. He said he was trying to make something out of computers. There was no sign she recognized him. To her, he was just Keen, a regular guy with kind eyes and rough palms. When the rain stopped, she stood to leave. He wanted to say something, anything, to keep her there longer. "Can I see you again?" he asked quickly. She smiled faintly. "Maybe. If the rain brings us together again." That night, as he walked home through the wet streets of Suryalia, Chike couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in years, someone had spoken to him like a man, not a millionaire. And just like that, without fancy cars or fame. Love quietly entered the story. From that night under the rain, Keen and Amara began to cross paths more often, sometimes by accident, sometimes by fate. He started visiting her school, pretending to fix the broken computers in the staff room. She always teased him for how serious he looked when he worked. Their friendship grew naturally, quietly, without pretense, without pressure. They would sit by the roadside and eat roasted corn, laughing about the day's struggles. He told her about his small tech hustle, how he dreamed of one day creating something big. She admired his simplicity, his focus, his humility. For the first time, Chike felt seen, not for his money, but for his mind. He could be himself around her. No cameras, no expectations, no image to maintain. Just Keen, a man she cared for, even when his pockets looked empty. Sometimes, when Amara's salary delayed, he'd quietly transfer a small amount to her account through a friend, making it look like luck. She never asked for help, but she always said, "God provides." That touched him deeply. They began to spend weekends together, going to markets, watching movies at home, cooking jollof rice in her small kitchen. She would sing softly while cooking, and he'd watch her, lost in admiration. One evening, he asked, "Amara, why are you always smiling, even when life is tough?" She looked at him and said, "Because life may not be perfect, but gratitude makes it lighter." That night, something shifted inside him. For the first time, he understood what peace felt like. But beneath the laughter and love, guilt began to grow. Every time she looked at him with those trusting eyes, he felt a sharp sting of fear, a fear that when she discovered who he really was, she would walk away. Still, he couldn't stop falling. When she got sick one week and couldn't go to school, he stayed by her side, cooking, cleaning, making her laugh. She told him, weakly smiling, "Keen, you'll make a wonderful husband someday." He chuckled. "For who?" "For the woman wise enough to see your heart," she said. And in that moment, he knew he didn't just want her love. He wanted her forever. But love built on a hidden truth always walks on thin ice. And deep inside, Chike knew the day the truth came out, everything could fall apart. For months, their love blossomed like morning sun after harmattan, warm, gentle, and real. But the truth Chike hid was like a ticking time bomb. Every day, he told himself, "I'll tell her soon." Yet, each time he tried, fear stopped his words. Then the signs began to show. Amara noticed his habits didn't match his supposed poor man story. He always had crisp cash when everyone else complained of Naira scarcity. His phone was a model she'd never seen before. And one evening, She overheard him speaking fluent business English on a phone call, something no small computer repairman could fake. "Who are you really, Keen?" she asked one night, her eyes soft but searching. He smiled weakly. "Just a man trying to build something small." Her instincts whispered otherwise, but her heart refused to listen. She loved him too much to push harder. Until one fateful morning. A viral headline flashed across her colleague's phone. Tech billionaire Chike spotted disguised in Surulere. Amara froze. The photo was clear, Chike, her Keen, handing out gifts at a children's charity event. Her heart pounded. She scrolled through the article, her hands trembling as reality sank in. The man who claimed to be poor was one of the richest men in Nigeria. She felt foolish, used, betrayed. Every laughter, every moment, did it mean nothing? That evening, when Chike came to her apartment, she didn't even let him speak. "So, this was all a game?" she asked, tears spilling. "You wanted to test me? See if I'd love you when you were poor." He tried to explain. "Amara, I swear, it wasn't like that. I just wanted to know if I wasn't a gold digger," she cut in sharply. "You think love needs proof? You lied to me, Chike." Her words hit him harder than any slap. She packed his things silently and handed him the umbrella she gave him the day they met. "You can keep this, a reminder of how you covered yourself with lies." Then she shut the door. That night, for the first time in years, the billionaire cried. Not because he'd lost love, but because he'd destroyed the only real thing money couldn't buy. The days that followed felt endless for Chike. The mansion in Banana Island, once his pride, now felt like a cage echoing with silence. Every corner reminded him of Amara, her laughter, her honesty, her warmth. He had all the money in the world, yet nothing could buy peace anymore. He tried calling, texting, even showing up at her school, but Amara refused to see him. The story had already spread like wildfire on social media. Some people called it romantic, others called it manipulative. But to her, it was betrayal. One evening, out of desperation, Chike did something no one expected. He went live on television, the same media that had exposed him. Sitting behind a simple desk, dressed plainly, he spoke directly to the camera. "My name is Chike Nwosu," he began. "I'm the man who pretended to be poor to test love. But I've realized, love doesn't need proof, it needs truth. I didn't mean to hurt Amara. I only wanted to be loved for who I am, not what I own. But in trying to find truth, I became a liar." The clip went viral again. Nigerians flooded the internet with mixed emotions, some praising his honesty, others calling it too late. But Amara stayed silent. Until one night. There was a knock on Chike's door, soft, hesitant. When he opened it, she was standing there, drenched in rain, holding that same old umbrella. He froze. "Amara?" She looked tired but calm. "I saw your interview." He stepped closer, his voice trembling. "I meant every word." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she sighed deeply. "You know, I prayed for a man who'd see me, not my pocket. I just didn't expect him to hide himself to do it." He nodded, eyes wet. "I was afraid of being loved for the wrong reasons." "And I was afraid of being played for the right ones," she replied quietly. Silence hung between them, broken only by the sound of rain. Then, gently, she placed the umbrella back in his hands. "I'm not ready to forgive you yet," she said, voice soft but steady. "But I wanted you to know I heard your heart." And with that, she turned to leave. He didn't stop her this time. He knew some apologies need time to grow roots. But as she walked away into the rain, he whispered to himself, "If she ever comes back, I'll never lie again, even for love." Weeks turned into months. The scandal died down, but the silence between Chike and Amara remained. She'd thrown herself into her work, volunteering at a community library in Surulere, while he focused on his tech foundation, helping underprivileged students. But even with success surrounding him, his heart remained empty. he stopped attending high-class events and began to live quietly, away from cameras, away from the noise. Then one afternoon, fate brought them face to face again. Chike had gone to donate computers to a small school on the outskirts of Lagos. As he walked into one of the classrooms, his eyes met hers. Amara was there, teaching a group of young girls how to code. For a moment, time stood still. Their eyes locked, the same spark, the same ache. The children's laughter filled the room as if nothing had ever happened, but both adults stood frozen, memories flooding back. Amara spoke first. "You're still doing charity work?" He nodded softly. "Trying to make amends. One honest day at a time." She smiled faintly, not the playful smile he remembered, but one touched with maturity and calm. After class, they sat under a mango tree outside the schoolyard. The late afternoon sun painted their faces gold. "I've thought a lot about us," she began quietly. "About what we lost, and what we both learned." Chike looked down. "I never meant to hurt you. I was scared. I didn't believe someone could love me for who I am anymore. And I didn't believe someone like you could understand what real love means," she replied. "But maybe, we were both wrong." For the first time, he smiled. A gentle, humbled smile. "So, where does that leave us?" Amara took a deep breath. "It leaves us wiser. Maybe not together, not yet. But wiser." She stood up, brushing dust off her skirt. "You taught me something, Chike. That love isn't proven by disguise. It's proven by truth, by consistency, by presence." As she turned to walk back into the school, he stood and called after her, "Amara." She looked back. "Can I start over?" he asked. "No lies, no tests. Just me." She paused, then walked back toward him slowly. For a heartbeat, she simply looked at him, really looked, as if searching his soul for the man she once loved. Then she smiled softly. "Start with showing up tomorrow for the coding class. The girls could use some inspiration." He grinned, a real one this time. "I'll be here." And as the sun dipped behind the clouds, Amara walked away, not into the sunset, but into a new chapter where love didn't have to be tested, only trusted. Love, in its purest form, doesn't need performance, it needs presence. Chike learned that wealth can build empires, but not trust. In trying to protect his heart, he'd forgotten that love, real love, is a leap of faith, not a test. Amara, on the other hand, discovered that forgiveness doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes, it means understanding that people break rules out of fear, not malice. Their story became a quiet reminder that truth is the foundation of any lasting bond. Without honesty, even the grandest gestures collapse like a house without pillars. Months later, their paths continue to cross, not as lovers chasing romance, but as two people growing side by side, letting time decide what their future held. And maybe, just maybe, love would find its way back to them when both had healed enough to deserve it. Because in the end, Chike realized something priceless. You don't test love, you nurture it. You don't pretend to be less than you are, you share your truth and let the right person love you fully. And Amara? She carried a quiet peace, knowing she had loved honestly. Even if it broke her heart, she had stayed true to herself. Sometimes love doesn't end with a kiss or a wedding. Sometimes, it ends with understanding. And that, too, is a beautiful kind of love. If you've ever loved someone so deeply that you feared losing them, this story is for you. Chike and Amara's journey reminds us that love is not about perfection, or wealth, or grand tests, it's about honesty, growth, and grace. We all make mistakes trying to protect our hearts, but sometimes, those mistakes teach us what love truly means. Tell me, have you ever tested someone's love, or been tested yourself? Did it bring you closer, or did it break something you thought would last forever? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this tale touched your heart, even just a little, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional true love stories from Nigeria and beyond. Because every story reminds us of one truth. Love is not about what you have, it's about who you become when you give it. And maybe, just maybe, like Chike and Amara, we all deserve a second chance to love, this time, with honesty. So, my people, before you go, answer me in the comments. Would you forgive someone who lied, even if they did it to test your love? Broken heart, red heart hash. Let's talk about it.